Afternoon, everybody. We are back. It is Big Man's Bracket Busters. I'm your host, the Big Man on Campus. We're getting you ready here for the Elite Eight matchups. We will, after this weekend, find out who's going to San Antonio and go on to the Final Four. I'm your host, the Big Man on Campus. Here with my co-host, Donnie Rightside and Ian Cameron. Ian, how you doing today?
Yeah, Ian. Yeah, don't call me Ian Cameron. Ian Cameron, not unlike Ian Eagle. That's funny. I love Ian Eagle as a broadcaster. He is hysterical. He's great. I think he's energetic. He's got enthusiasm. He's excited all the time. But I don't know how he comes up with Ian. I could never live with an Ian Cameron as my name. I just couldn't.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I guess I do understand it because IAN should be pronounced Ian, basically. But yeah, again, we're Ian Cameron. Donnie Wright said, "How you doing?"
Yeah, getting back to the iron, is iron Canadian, Jeff? Do we know the origins of
Yeah,
the
it's like
pronunciation?
it's like Geoff, like if Geoff.
Yeah,
Uh,
like the German spell. Okay, yeah, maybe iron is from Nova Scotia, and it's just maybe a Canadian thing. But no, happy to be here, Jeff. A lot of fun today. We got the big matchups today, big matchups tomorrow. Some NIT action, Jeff. I know you're going to want to ask us about. Also, a lot of fun here Saturday morning. Maybe my favorite show of the week.
yeah, I was only kidding, really. I was just gonna ask you guys who you thought would win and stuff. We'll get to that maybe at the end. But welcome into everyone out there listening. As always, hit the like button. Let us know. Again, I don't think there's any games people are going to ask us about because we're going to go over them all here today. The stage is set. The teams are set. Not many teams left. It's a great time to be alive, and the Final Four will be set here momentarily over the weekend. First of all, I want to ask you guys, what were your thoughts of the games last night? Ian, what do you think? I'll start with you.
Well, Villanova showing that they might be the team to beat right now in this tournament, just the way they really adjusted. I mean, in the first half of that game, you could clearly see the press was kind of having its way. Villanova was not handling the ball as well as you would expect. I think somewhere in the realm of 10 turnovers they had in the first half of that game against West Virginia. But then you see Jay Wright hammer, I'm sure, home the point at halftime. We got to secure the ball better, make better passes. That first pass has to be sharper. We can't waste time. You got to be decisive in your passing. We saw them really turn that press around in the second half. They didn't force the turnovers. They got open looks. Jalen Brunson hitting threes. Even Omari Spellman, a monster on both ends of the court, offensively, defensively. He's even knocking down perimeter jimmies, which is something to see. And Villanova really flexes their muscles down the stretch, makes all the plays. Their defense turns it up. West Virginia was jacking up one bad contested shot after another, and Villanova pulls away. They looked good. Texas Tech, phenomenal defensive performance, beating Purdue. Duke, hey, I'll tell you what, Syracuse, give them credit. Even though they lost, they pulled Duke into a grind it out, muck it up kind of game. Duke had to survive it to advance. They did. Credit to the Blue Devils for that. I actually think that Duke win, even though they had to grind it out, is going to make them tougher for the rest of the tournament. A win like that. And then in the other game, you have trying to think now. What was that other game? The fourth game
Clemson,
last night.
Kansas.
Yeah, Clemson, Kansas, and Kansas having to hang on for dear life. Blow the point spread cover. If you're a Jayhawks backer in their last two games against Seton Hall and Clemson, you're none too happy. And their end game is a problem. You got to have that killer instinct. In Kansas, the last two games struggled to put teams away. Now they got Duke on tap. Big test for them.
Yeah, the over under in Duke Syracuse. If you had the under, which a lot of people did, that's a tough one. I mean, falls 133 and a half for most people. Went down to
Mhm.
131 and a half, 132 by game time, but most people for the most of the week had 133 and a half. Falls 134. You mentioned Villanova. They're up, or not Villanova, Kansas. They're up big. They don't end up getting a cover. So if you had Clemson, you better thank your lucky stars. Donnie, what did you think of the games?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas should change their name instead of the Jayhawks. Should be the Point Shavers, maybe even sponsored by Barbasol at this point. I don't understand what they do at the end of ball games, but I don't know if they don't. I mean, and again, I'm being facetious here. Don't know if they know the point spread or what's going on, but my goodness, every game does it have to be a collapse at the end where you just let the other team cover the point spread and move on to the next round. One game I did like last night was the most important game of the night. I didn't even have a wager on the game, Jeff. The West Virginia Villanova game. And if you see me tweet last night, there's a couple things I don't like about college basketball, and it's a lot of gimmick stuff. That gimmick West Virginia defense that says, you know what? We're going to foul every single time on defense, but you don't have the balls to call it every single time. Well, thank goodness at the half, maybe Ian was talking about it. Jay Wright got into the officials and said, look, it's one thing if you're going to attack the rim and it's going to be a little bit physical, excuse me, but it's another thing if you're going to be at the top of the key and you're two-hand checking me at half court. The refs put an end to that. Villanova blew them off the court. Finesse, style, and grace over that trash can West Virginia defense. Love to see it. And again, in the Duke-Syracuse game, the gimmick Syracuse defense. Get the hell out of here with this. Now we can see some good, clean basketball the rest of the way. And again, winning money on Texas Tech over Purdue. It was a great night for basketball purists last night, Jeff.
That's a little harsh. I mean, they played pretty well, I thought. Syracuse
Who?
defense was fine. They didn't.
No.
They weren't that bad.
Say Syracuse. That's what they do. That's what they do. But it's a gimmick trash defense. And get it out of here. Let's play some real fluid basketball. 80 to 75.
I actually like the zone, but again, I mean, people aren't fans of watching it, which I get. There were 2 zones as well, so it was tough to deal with. But I want to make this clear, okay? I try to tell you guys, without Haas, Purdue wasn't winning. They just weren't. I mean, they don't. When you have a kid like that of that caliber, you don't have to worry about him anymore. Okay, you can shade up on shooters, and it's not going to be as easy. Matt Harms is useless. I mean, we saw it. It's like he sucks. Can't score. He's a waste of space on offense. I mean, Donnie was literally like playing 5-on-4 with him on the court. He's no good. He's not any good.
No, he looked. I'll tell you, he did. I mean, his hair game was on point. He made sure it was on point the whole game. He's crashing to the floor. He's holding his elbow. They even threw him an alley-oop early in the second half to start, Jeff. That he's 7 foot, and it looks like he barely could get a quarter inch off the ground and didn't have the strength to go up and even grab the ball. You're right about it, man. But then again, Jeff, a lot of people will tell you it doesn't matter if your best players play. It doesn't.
You know who he reminds me of? I don't know if Donnie. I know you'll remember this guy, Ian. I don't know if you will. Do you remember Donnie Andres Beardens?
Beardrins
with the Warriors.
There you go. Yeah,
the Warriors.
Course,
He played in the NBA. I know
He
it.
reminds me of that guy. He reminds me of that guy kind of. Just kind
That's
of
a good call. That's a blast from the past. Yeah.
Yeah.
Donnie Nelson coached the Warriors back then.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. He loves his hair, which is fine. I don't mind that. That's.
Would that get on your nerves during the game? Like, if you have to keep on just going like this the entire game? Like, I'm going up for a layup, and you're like just smoothing out what's the deal with that?
Yeah, he needs some better gel. I mean, maybe I can give him some gel. He needs better gel. He needs
some of mine.
Yeah, maybe some pomade or something. But yeah, he was a waste for sure. Let's get into the plays here, guys. Let me ask you, who do you want to see in the Final Four? Let's just before we get into the predictions, if you had your choice, who would you want to see from the remaining team?
For me,
I'm
very simple for me. I want to see Loyola in there. Will they be in there? We'll see. I want to see Michigan in there. Will they be in there? We'll see. I want to see Nova in there. Will they be in there? We'll see. And I want to see Duke in there. I mean, Duke or Kansas is tough. I wouldn't mind either, but give me Duke. So Duke, Nova, Michigan, Loyola.
I can't disagree with that actually. I'll be honest. Florida State, Michigan. I prefer Michigan, but I wouldn't mind either. I mean, I think either would be fine. I'll tell you the teams I don't want to see. I don't want to see Texas Tech, and I don't want to see Kansas State. Because I just don't. What do you got, Donnie?
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine this? Now, hey, it's all about money, and the NCAA likes money. They like ratings. Can you imagine Kansas State, Florida State, Texas Tech, and Kansas as your Final Four? They might just implode and say, you know what? Let's have a do-over and play this Elite Eight round all over again. The same thing you guys are talking about, Jeff and Ian. I agree with you completely. It'd be a great final because you want the storyline, right? You want Sister Jean. You want the team that tries hard, the team from French Lick, Indiana, whatever, Loyola getting in there. But you also want the Blue Bloods in there. The Michigans are going to bring a big crowd. The Duke, whether you like Duke or hate Duke, it's an unbelievable ratings advantage. And then Villanova, the team that I'm rooting for, the team that plays the best brand of basketball to me in the country, would be a great Final Four.
I'm going to make this clear right now. If I get Loyola, Michigan, Duke, Villanova, I will make my ploy to get Sister Jean on the show, interviewed some way. I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to be down there. I got the fan thing. I got all the. I can maybe get the media thing and try to get in there. I'm gonna try to get her on camera. Try. I'm gonna try.
Sister Jean
If
on
any,
SBR. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
she's
Well,
very
I what
camera shy, Jeff. I don't think you can get her on.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. She doesn't love
Uh,
being on the air.
all I have to do is show her my Jesus cross, and
Jesus
she'll
piece.
be
There you go.
oh yeah, she'll be all over
She's a
me
sucker
as a
for a good Jesus fish. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, let's get into it, guys. Here, let's break some of the games down and see where we like. We'll start up. By the way, no basketball basically till 6 o'clock. I guess you could wet your whistle in the Liberty Flame Chippewa game if you have something there. But you're either betting spring training or you're betting World Cup friendlies. So good
Hi,
luck.
Jeff. By the way,
Uh,
it's a good. I can't wait to see the ticket count on that Central Michigan Liberty game because if you had that game on any normal weekend, there'd be like 300 bets on that game. I can't wait to see how high that gets. It's too smart way to do it, Jeff. Put it at 2 o'clock so you're not even competing with anything. We'll see.
oh yeah, the plenty of people who have opinions on Liberty today. Loyola, Kansas State. Let's get into it. 5:13, 5:14, 6:09 p.m. So that means Michigan will start about 9:45. Um, the time thing is brutal, Donnie. I know you hate that. Last night's
No, it's a
game was
weekend.
late.
It's a weekend though, Jeff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
good.
it was late, but you're right. The Friday Saturday thing, I don't have a price. Started at 2 a.m. I don't care. You have no excuse for that, but it is on a little bit too late. You're right.
Let's get into it here. You got Kansas State at 1 at our sponsor, Intertops. Intertops, one of the great books in the business. I've used them. They're a good book, great lines, good payouts, solid information. One of the best books in the business. We're using them for the lines. We thank them for the sponsor. Kansas State 1 at Intertops, 126.5 on a total at Intertops. Look, guys, your first thought here is the under. And I know unders have been very tough in this tournament. As far as unders are concerned, I mean, you look at unders in basketball anymore, like you look at, totals in baseball. I mean, sevens are kind of a thing of the past. It's hard to get involved with unders anymore. Just the late fouls, the constant whistles late in games. But you look at these two teams, they are really built for unders. I mean, both these teams particularly slow. Loyola among the 20 slowest teams in the country. We know how they play, very deliberate. Kansas State the same way, very deliberate. But you have good guard play at both these teams. Brown's been fantastic. Diarra's been fantastic. Snead's been fantastic. And you're going to get a bit healthier Dean Wade. I'd imagine he'll play a little bit more. But it's a good matchup. Both real good basketball teams kind of match each other. Pretty good offensive efficiency for one team, two real good defensive teams. I don't see much of a difference here. I think the line's right where it should be. I'd probably list Kansas State as a favorite just because of the conference that they're in and the competition that they've faced. I think it's a total coin flip. I would lean Loyola. I just think they have for me, the better story. They have obviously the things behind them. They have a guy in Custer who has just really fixated this stage. I just like their team a lot better. It's not a great handicap, to be honest. I don't think there's, you know, when you get to this stage, there's not one or the other you like more. I lean Loyola here. What do you guys think? Donnie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, if we take a look at this game overall, Jeff, it's one of those games where if you bet it, I mean, it's right down the line. I don't think you can actually break down this game and say, boy, Kansas State, they play in a better conference, which they do. They're going to blow the doors off. Or flip it over and say, Loyola, man, they play so well. This should be an easy game for them. They match up extremely well because Kansas State, if you watch the Nevada game, what's the key ingredient in that game that you watched, especially the start of the second half? Nevada's a little bit looser on defense, looking to get out on runs, and they constantly beat them to the rim. The Kansas State guards aren't going to let you do that. But backing away, do you see the ball control that Loyola has? Every time Loyola has the ball, you know they're getting the right shot. They're going to be patient, and they're going to make the extra pass, which is so much fun to watch, which in turn is hard to beat them because you know Loyola's not going to beat themselves, and they're going to play really good defense. How about the adjustments, Jeff, that Loyola made in the last game with their head coach, where you're taking Krautwig out of the game, and all of a sudden you're going on a run? Everybody thought it was doom and gloom when he had 2 fouls. You know what? 2 fouls, sit on the bench for a while. Watch us go on this run. Even in the second half, they pulled him out. When you see the mismatch, you go after. Loyola is such a good coach team if you watch them all the way through the season. The only problem that you match up is right, Jeff, the optics. Wait a second. How many times can you beat a Miami, a Tennessee, a Nevada at the gun? Kansas State's going to bring a different element, more athleticism to the table, but it's hard to go against Loyola, Illinois, Jeff, because you know they're getting the right shot. Tough game here.
But Donnie, you know what? It's another average basketball team. I don't look at Kansas State. I don't say to them myself,
Yeah.
they're better than Loyola. I mean,
Yeah.
Loyola has made a money in this tournament basically just being able to beat, decent, pretty good teams. And that's what Kansas State is, another average basketball team. Um, Nevada's better than Kansas State. Tennessee's better than Kansas State. Shit, Miami might be better than Kansas State. They've had this level of playing teams that they can beat. They haven't faced a really up tempo, you know, ram it down your throat kind of team. All these teams, they don't play any different than Kansas State. Kansas State isn't going to present them with anything different that they haven't seen before. That's why for me, I go with Loyola, and I think they're the better side. I bet on them a couple times now. They just have a magic right now, Ian. You know, they have the sister. They have, and Donnie made a good point about marketability. Who's more marketable here?
Yeah.
To me, it's
You need the
Loyola.
underdog. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not even a question. And I said it before, and I will say it again, and it's been very true, and it's rung down since we've said this. This team is Butler in the national championship a couple years ago. The same exact profile, Porter Moser, that young coach that no one heard of until recently. I mean, they're a special team, and they're marketable. You imagine seeing that Nuns mug everywhere? My mother
Yeah,
told
Jeff.
me
Yeah.
about her. I mean, it's palpable. This woman, everybody knows who she
Yep.
is now. People can relate to the nun. I was a I'm Catholic. I grew up Catholic. I remember women like this everywhere. The good old, you know, people that are 98. They support everybody. Everybody loves her. The United States needs people like this. This is what we need to see on TV. Do you agree with that, Ian?
Well, I agree with A, we need them on TV, and I agree that B, I think Loyola Chicago, push comes to shove, finds a way to win this basketball game. When you look at this team in close games, have they shown you any semblance of getting rattled at any point in a close game in this tournament? They've now done it 3 times. Miami, down to the wire. Tennessee, down to the wire. Nevada, down to the wire, and in every game, who's making the plays? Who's making the big shots? Who's getting the key stops? Who's clearing the rebound? Loyola Chicago is. They've been fantastic. Their end game execution has been flawless. It's been outstanding. They're getting big shots made from them. And how about Porter Moser's coaching? He decides, let's go a little smaller. Let's attack the basket. Let's slash to the goal against Nevada. And boy, that mindset worked out perfectly for Porter Moser. Great in-game adjustment. Great coaching maneuver by him, which really turned that game around in Loyola Chicago's favor. Clayton Custer, 15 points. Marcus Towns, a big game. And Dante Ingram was quiet. He's a guy that can get things going as well for Loyola Chicago. I don't take anything away from Kansas State. They've had a nice tournament. They beat Creighton handily. They did beat UMBC, although they didn't play great in that game. And you could argue, even though they beat Kentucky, which looks impressive on paper, they didn't exactly play a great game offensively. Only shot 35% in that game. How about Kentucky? 23 of 37 from the free throw line, 62%. That is a big factor, including PJ Washington, who missed key free throws down the stretch. That was huge. Loyola Chicago's not going to miss their free throws at that rate Kentucky did. I got to ride this wave of momentum right now that the Ramblers have going. This is going to probably be a close game. Who's been better in these close games in this tournament than Loyola Chicago?
Yeah, and I think, it's also interesting, Dean Wade. I mean, is he fully healthy? I don't know if he is. I mean, if he doesn't, he's another one where if he doesn't play in this game, I think it's going to be very tough for Kansas State to win because what they can do, Loyola, is Andre Jackson could guard Sneed. He's a very good defender, and you're not going to have as good a matchups as you might have had. Plus, look, I think Kentucky, they would have probably given Loyola a problem, but they're gone. They're not here anymore. Porter Moser is just, I mean, he's just been fantastic in this tournament. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I'm going to go Loyola. They're going to be my pick today. I'm going to keep riding them. I like this team. I think they're going to the Final Four. I think they're going to go to the championship game. I have a feeling,
Jeff,
frankly.
quick point on this one too. Sold out crowd down there, right? It's going to be a sellout. It's the Elite Eight. It's the final game in that region. Who is that crowd that's sold out 19,000 deep rooting for? Did Kansas State bring their whole entourage, a couple thousand miles down to Atlanta? Or is this entire crowd going to be wrapped up on the underdog with Loyola? That's a big deal.
Big time
Yeah,
point.
no,
Big time. Yep.
You're totally right. And look, I thought if any team was going to beat Loyola, it was Nevada. Just with the way Nevada plays, they're up tempo. They like to get out in transition. I mean, that's not something Loyola wants to do. And we saw early on that made that bothered Loyola a bit. But what's just so impressive with them is they went down in games and they found ways to get back into the game. They're precise. Their ball movement is some of the best I've seen. I liken it to Hoosiers, Donnie. I said it to you yesterday.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. When I see them play, they remind me of like Jimmy Chitwood and that group. They're interesting, and they have some of the best ball fakes I've ever seen. The ball fake offense is great. They're just fantastic with the ball. Really impressive team, and frankly, I want to see them. I'd love to see them at this next level, and I think they're going to get there. I think they will win and move on. You guys agree with me? Loyola money line, right?
It's the way I'm leaning at this point. Yeah, it would be Loyola for me.
Ian, you agree?
I will be on Loyola Chicago. In fact, I already bet it at +1. The only game I didn't take Loyola Chicago in this tournament was the Nevada game for the same reasons I was worried about it as Big Man mentioned. And now I regret doing that. But I'm back on the train today, hoping I can cash like I did against Miami and Tennessee with the Ramblers once again.
Even money price at Intertops plus
Yeah.
100 on the money line. Let's get it on. Let's get it in. We're in. Let's move on. 515, 516. The 9 seed, Florida State, taking on Michigan. The Wolverines come into this game with a lot of horseshoes. They've been playing well. Michigan 4.5 on a or a line, 143.5 on a total at Intertops. Um, what a tough game, because Florida State is just such a deep, deep, deep basketball team. They're looking to attack. They're looking to get out in transition when they can, get to the rim. They attack the rim like a lot of teams. No team really we've seen this tournament, and they're going to look to exploit the size of their team. I mean, they're deep, they're big, they're athletic, and frankly, it's concerning against Michigan. This just looks like they're going to just rain down on the Wolverines, but it seems in a lot of situations that's what's going to happen against Michigan, and it doesn't happen. I want to ask you guys before we get deep into this game, Ian Cameron. I mean, do you look at this game and say to yourself, "Wow, this is going to be this is going to be just too much for Michigan to handle"? I mean, look at all these big kids. I mean, does Michigan have Michigan can't I mean, Wagner against a team like this is concerns me.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. You're right. That size and length that the Florida State Seminoles can throw at you, and then you start looking at the fact that Leonard Hamilton's got a situation where he can go deep into his rotation and get guys off the bench that can come in, play every bit as good, if not better than his starters. I mean, we saw that the last game. The bench was fantastic for Florida State in the 75-60 win against Gonzaga. I'll be honest, I didn't see that coming, not one bit. I know everyone's now going to rain on the throw rain blows down on the West Coast Conference, say that conference stinks now, and Gonzaga got exposed because of it. I still think Gonzaga was a really good basketball team. It was just not their night. And Florida State, give them all the credit in the world. But you look at this team and how they can divvy up the playing time. You got guys deep in that bench that played 23, 24 minutes. So, this is a deep basketball team, and it's the kind of team that you could think can thrive in a second game in 3 days situation. So that's the advantage Florida State has. I thought the size of Texas A&M could bother Michigan a little bit, but I like Michigan to shoot the ball a lot better against A&M, and they sure did that. They were fantastic. They finally got that offense in gear. John Beilein time to prepare. They made the adjustments, and the shooting was a lot better for Michigan. They covered that game, went over the total as well. But I was against A&M more in that game too because not just I expected Michigan to play better, I expect A&M to flop a little bit off a perfect game. Michigan's off a damn near perfect game now. The shoe's on the other foot. So can they bring that same high level of efficiency and execution today against Florida State that they did against A&M? I'm not so sure here. I think Michigan advances. I'm not comfortable laying the 4 though. I will be completely honest here. Florida State is 6-1 ATS as a dog under Leonard Hamilton in the tournament, and they've won 5 of those games outright, and they added to it against Gonzaga. I'm done selling the FSU team short. They've surprised me. Maybe they surprise me again today.
Yeah, this is a tough one because, Dottie, Michigan State 326th in free throw percentage, laying 4.5 points. That's a concern late in games. You ask yourself if Tilly plays, does Florida State win? Probably still find a way to win. I mean, I think it'd have been a lot more difficult. I think the end score, I don't know if it was indicative of the game. I thought it was, more of an 8 to 10 point game, not a 14 or 15 point game. If Tilly's in there, who knows what might happen. But I mean, other than Wagner, what does Michigan have? I mean, they have nothing down low. I think the over looks pretty good, frankly. I think we'll see some points in this game. I think both these teams want to run on a little bit more up tempo. We know Florida State will. I've
Yeah.
had pretty good reads on Michigan totals, found a way to get over, but I'll make this clear. I'm not on this game. I think it should be a tough one. I just don't want to bet against Michigan. They're just one of those teams that, for me at this point, just kind of gets that respect right now. But I don't want to bet Florida State either because I don't see. I mean, they're talented. Are they lottery pick talented like they've been in past seasons? No. So for me, I think they're exploitable as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the game as itself, 4.5, it falls into that one of those type range. Because you're right, you're going to have to make some free throws down the stretch. And again, it is a contrast of styles. Michigan, one of the slower teams, more methodical, going to run plays, as opposed to Florida State, a top 40 team tempo-wise in the country. They're going to want to get out and run and use their athletes. The thing I like about Michigan, though, is because, yes, Florida State is more athletic. Florida State is bigger down low. They have a lot of big bodies. But Mo Wagner's not your typical big guy down low. He steps out and hits the three. So what does that do? The same thing that we saw, which I called with West Virginia. Kanate's an unbelievable rim protector. He's going to block shots, but Spellman can stand at the three-point line and draw him away from the rim, allowing other people to penetrate and drive. I think that's going to go, and John Beilein is really going to pick this apart. I think it's a pretty good matchup because when you watch the Texas A&M game versus Michigan, the same thing. Unbelievable talented bigs for Texas A&M. But Wagner standing at the three-point line, knocking down threes, drawing them away from the rim, which spreads out the floor. I think they're going to be able to do the same thing here tonight. It's a tough one because you've seen Florida State. Florida State can match up to the talent and rise to the occasion. But we always see it time and time again with Leonard and Hamilton coach teams. Which coach would you rather have? Beilein, a top 5 coach in basketball, versus Hamilton. It's a clear advantage to me. I like the way Michigan played the last game. I know you say, hey, you know what? They can't play any better. They're probably going to come down. Well, they're probably not going to knock down 14 threes in this game. But Michigan, to me, clearly the better overall basketball team from the head coach all the way down. If they play the game they're supposed to play, they should cover that 4 points today.
The problem that I have with just one of your points, Donnie, is I get what you're saying about Wagner's a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams because they can't get out and guard him. But I think Florida State can. I think their bigs are clearly mobile enough to get out and do that. But I hear you. I mean, Beeline is a great game preparer. He's a great
Yeah.
coach as far as game day prep. Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating game for sure. But I don't have a great feel on it as far as from a betting perspective. I think Michigan will move on, but and that's because Michigan's just they're men of March. You know that men of March show? They should make an episode about Michigan. That's what it should be called. Um, Plus, let me ask you something, and I kind of want to relate this to every game because I think there's so much money involved with the Final Four that it's important. Marketability. Michigan, I think they're more marketable. I think that the betting or the public that watches college basketball much rather see Michigan here, right? Fan base is a lot better.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
what
Oh,
do you
yeah.
guys think about that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's
I
any
don't doubt
question
that.
with that. Yeah. Yeah.
What else do we have here? Couple comments here. Big Man wants Loyola, Michigan, Duke, and Nova. Oh, of course. I think we all do. That's kind of what I think will be sellable. Uh, college fans of Chicago root for everyone unless you went to one of the schools in that area. Good point. At Michigan, though, not too far of a trip here. I think they'll be obviously represented a bit better here. If Ian Cameron says he's betting Michigan -4, but doesn't love the number. He's hoping that it
Wait,
comes
Michigan,
down.
where are you talking about Michigan at, Jeff?
Aren't they? Was this? Why are we talking about Chicago? Is this game in Chicago?
No, it's in LA,
No, I didn't.
Staples.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I was gonna
Why
say,
are we
like, yeah,
talking about
that's
Chicago?
not a bad drive. You could get Ann Arbor to LA in a couple minutes.
I
Be
was gonna
fine.
say I don't even care where these games are. It doesn't mean much to me, but I don't know. The whole crowd thing, I don't really think means much because you have to win. It's a neutral. You have to win. Any game. You have to be able to win away from home. In football, it's a little
Yeah,
different
Kentucky,
because
Kentucky had the home court advantage versus Kansas State. How'd that work out?
yeah,
Yeah.
Alex B. Smith. Alex B. Smith's getting in my head here. He's talking to me about Chicago. Uh, Tell your boy to settle down, Ian Cameron.
Yeah, my
I'm just
fellow
kidding.
ice guy. Welcome, Alex.
Uh,
Yeah, good to see him.
By the way, Ian, the Flyers play tomorrow, right? Penguins?
Flyers do play tomorrow, big one against Pittsburgh. That's always fun when the Keystone State rivals meet up. I'm looking forward to watching that. Actually, it'll be a nice pregame thing before the regional finals start.
Yes, correct. Let's go to Sunday. Sunday a little bit more interesting. 7:19, 7:20, 2:20 p.m. How about that? A little earlier. Like it a lot. Texas Tech, Villanova. Villanova 6.5, 144.5 a total. Uh, Donnie Wright said Villanova. We've seen them play. You and I both saw them play live. They're an elite offensive team, one of the best offensive teams I've seen. And Texas Tech is interesting because they're hard nosed. They're kind of like Purdue. They're kind of like that. You know, they're not as good offensively as Purdue. I think Purdue would give Villanova a bit more problem because I think maybe you'll get Haas for a period of time. Villanova is just a team that, like Michigan, I'm not really looking to step in front of. But Texas Tech presents an interesting bet here because Chris Beard is a phenomenal coach. I mean, is he Jay Wright? I don't know, but I think he's great. I think he's a great X and O coach. I think he just knows how to coach and knows how to get the job done. And Texas Tech, they're not pretty to watch at times, but they have Keenan Evans, they have Justin Gray, they have that ability. They have a lot of the same type of player, that tweener kind of a bigger kind of guy. But Villanova, y- can you slow them down? That's what Texas Tech's going to try to do here. I don't have a ton on this one either. It's a tough matchup. Donnie, maybe you can sway us. What do you think here?
Yeah, when you take a look at Texas Tech, and you've watched them all year, and I joke about them being like that lost and forgotten team, because you want to talk about West Virginia, you want to talk about, Trey Young, you want to talk about the other teams, the power teams in that conference. They sort of get lost, but Beard is a fantastic coach. The one thing, though, Jeff, because to me, Villanova is the best team in the country. You have to do something extremely well or special to try to knock Villanova off. The one thing I don't see is maybe you had a dominant, like, DeAndre Ayton, who could just control the paint and dominate down low. Villanova can't do anything about it. Texas Tech can roll deep and is super athletic and plays well, Jeff, but I think that plays right into Villanova's hands because when you look on offense or defense, what do they really do well? They play well as a team. They pass it around. Different guys are going to make shots at different times, but the same thing that West Virginia was giving problems till Villanova figured it out is you have to do something well, whether it's a press, whether you have tough guard play, whether you keep the press on, force turnovers like they were doing with Gillespie yesterday. Texas Tech is going to play very good half-court defense, but Nova's not going to turn the basketball over. The only question I have, Jeff, is can Texas Tech score with Villanova? We know they play good defense, but Villanova always gets that open look and won't turn it over. I think it's going to be too much to handle. Now, we're bettors here, Jeff. 6.5, which is a team that's very sound defensively, that's not going to give up easy bucket after easy bucket. I think I might be leaning on that 6.5, Jeff, more than taking Villanova to win that game by double digits here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, defensively, they're very good. I think the game plan will be good enough. Ian, what do you think here?
I think Villanova's going to win, but you won't see me betting against Texas Tech in this price range. I mean, 6.5 points with a defensive team like what Chris Beard's got, and I'll tell you who knows now. He knew already, but he knows now who's a good that Chris Beard's a good coach is Matt Painter because Chris Beard's beaten him twice now in the NCAA tournament. Of course, remember with Arkansas Little Rock years ago, which knocked Purdue and Matt Painter out of the tournament. So Matt Painter having some Chris Beard nightmares in his sleep last night, I'm sure, after that game against Texas Tech. But he's done a great job. He really has. And I really like that Keenan Evans has really stepped forward and he's looking better and better with every passing game. He's gotten over that toe injury. He's looking healthier and healthier. Had a good game last night, 16 points. But they're going to need some secondary support for him. You're going to need Justin Gray, Zaire Smith, guys like that for Texas Tech to play as well as they did against Purdue, get into double figures, give him that secondary support. Villanova, it's a great matchup in terms of Villanova's an elite offensive basketball team. Multiple guys can fill it up. Brunson, Bridges, Booth. You talk about DiVincenzo, who's capable of coming in off the bench and lighting it up as well. I mean, that offense against this Texas Tech stifling, staunch defense, what a matchup it's going to be. But Texas Tech is the epitome of a tough out. They really are. I mean, you go back down the list of the games they played this season. They haven't lost many by margin in the Big 12, nor, of course, obviously in this tournament. They're a tough team to beat by margin. I think it's a close game. I think Villanova just has enough difference makers down the stretch to win. But I'm not betting against Tech in this price range at the current number. I'd take the points or I'd pass the game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Um, let's see here. Game has undervalue. We'll see. I'd wager Nova with winnings only, not in desperation. Yeah, it's a tough game. I mean, it really is. Because Texas Tech is playing at that high level right now. But Ian's right. You're going to need those random guys to step up. You know, the Zaire Smiths or the Francises, people like that. Yeah, I lean with Texas Tech, but we'll see tomorrow. It's a tough game right now to call just from my perspective, but I feel like we're all kind of leaning Red Raiders here. 505, 721, 722. Duke Blue Devils in Kansas. Duke 3.5. Total 155.5. This is going to be a fascinating game. As a Azubuike, Bagley, the guard play that these teams have. And the guard play is just fantastic in this game, isn't it? But I got to tell you, I think Kansas is the play in this game. I love Malik Newman. Dante Graham's a star. I love Svi. Um, both teams not particularly deep. I think you're going to see a 6-on-6, 5-on-5 game here. Maybe you see one or two others, but that's about it. To me, Kansas's guards are better. With Azubuike in there healthy, the Sousa in there, I think they can really neutralize Begley. I don't think he's going to run rough shot like he did last night. Um, I know Kansas has been kind of a black eye for bettors. They don't like this team right now, but I think this is a great game. I think it comes down to the wire. The fact that I can get 3.5 for Kansas, it's attractive to me. I think their guard play is just better. Malik Newman, I'm telling you right now, I talked about Hachimura at the next level. Malik Newman's going to be a player at the next level too. Mark my words. Great player. Really good as far as penetrating. Got a nice shot as well. Give me Kansas. I think they cover. Could see them winning the game as well.
Who's up?
Ian, give them salt. Get it. Get after it.
All right, I'll get
Jump in.
after it. Okay. This is a game that's very tough for me because I had Duke circled. I wanted to bet Duke in this game. I was all ready to, that Syracuse game. I don't penalize Duke for that game against Syracuse. Syracuse dragged them into a mud fight, get down in the mud, grind it out. Duke did that. I think it actually makes them tougher going forward. Is going to have them be better prepared for these future games, starting with this Kansas team. But I certainly didn't expect Duke to be laying a full 3.5 or 4. I expected this to be closer to. I thought Duke would be maybe 1.5, 2. I didn't necessarily think 3.5 or 4 going into this game. So I'm not sure the price point's right for me to back Duke, even though I think they're going to be okay in this game and I think they're going to advance. When I look at it with Duke, this 2-3 zone under Coach K has been working great. I mean, they have bought in. The defense has been a lot better. They're playing it well. And when you look at this Kansas team, it's a guard-oriented team still for the most part. Your Malik Newmans, your Devontae Grahams, your Sven Mikhailuks. Are they going to be able to shoot over this very staunch, tough Duke 2-3 zone right now? Duke's given up just 29.9% from the perimeter their last 5 games. They've done extremely well shutting off the perimeter. Better than that, actually, 27.2% from three-point range allowed these last 5 games. They're going to have to obviously maybe get this thing down low and get some inside scoring this time, Kansas, more than they're usually accustomed to. I'm not sure stylistically this is a phenomenal, tremendous matchup by any stretch here for the Kansas side. But at the same point in time, I'm telling you, this price is not what I expected. 3.5, 4. I think the under's worth a look in this game from a totals perspective as well. I think it's a notch or two too high. You look at this Duke team, they haven't even come close to totals hitting 150s as of late for the most part. I mean, Duke has been a massive under trender as of late. Look at the recent Duke games: 134, 149. The 150, that the Iona game's the one that got to 156, but Iona plays no defense. Prior to that, 143 against North Carolina, 138 against North Carolina, 127. They have not come close to the 150s in a lot of games. So I lean to Duke. I think the better play might be under this 155. Seems a notch or two high, this total in my mind.
If I know Donnie Rightside the way I do, I'm not sure there's anyone that knows him better than me. I would think he's going to totally agree with you on your underplay, Ian Cameron.
Yeah.
Uh, am I right?
You're so right about that, Jeff. Ian, great point, because Duke wasn't a zone team all year. Sort of incorporated to try to slow down the opposite team. Don't get your bigs in foul trouble. Great point by you, because what's going to take place here with Kansas? You have to probe. You can't no longer, dribble the ball up. There's 24 seconds on the shot clock. You beat your man to get to the rim. When you play a zone defense, most teams come up and probe. What does that mean? You're not firing up a jump shot until around 10, maybe 8 seconds on the clock. It's a great point by you, but also in this game, if you're betting Kansas, you have to like the fact that Duke's going to play a little bit of zone here, because what's going to take place is the 3-point shooting of Kansas. They can shoot. This isn't Syracuse's matchup 2-3 zone where everybody's 6'19", so to speak, with an arm span of like 65 feet and getting out there. You can shoot over to Duke's zone, and they're not experts. They don't play this 365 days a year, 7 days a week for the past 50 years. It's a relatively new zone, which I think Kansas can exploit. The one thing I do think Kansas is going to have trouble with, Jeff, is Azubuike, can he stay out of foul trouble? Because if you watch Bagley,
Yeah.
Jeff, we've done it all year long. He's going at him, and it's going to be an aggressive game down low. And Azubuike, no stranger to banging down low and getting into foul trouble. That's going to be a key. But I think the zone itself, Jeff, actually helps Kansas. If you're seeing the lines out there right now, Jeff, even slipping down, we got what? 3.5 are pretty much gone. It's now at about 3. I think that 3.5, 4 number for Kansas is great, because can anybody see it coming down the stretch here, Jeff? Anybody's ball game? Give me the 3.5 or 4 points if it was available. Even the 3. I'm leaning Kansas here, but Ian, I think you're on to something. 155. Everything has to go right to get that total, and I think that zone's going to slow it down. Good call.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
Kansas
is
is only
interesting.
going to be able to. I was going to say Kansas is only going to be able to push the pace unless they get a miss, a long rebound, and they're able to push in transition. If they're going to have to, if Duke's going to make some shots, Kansas is going to have to set up against that 2-3 zone. They're going to have to work deep into the shot clock. 5 seconds left before they get a good look and take it. So you got to factor that in, and I think that all adds up to a total where only way I'm betting this thing is under.
I'm telling you right now, if I'm Bill Self, I walk over to Azubuike and I tell him, be physical with Begley. He doesn't want to get involved with that. He doesn't want to. He wants to finesse, grab the ball, turn around. Azubuike is an interesting matchup because he is a physical kid. He's going to put his shoulder down and say, guard me. I don't think Begley can guard him. I don't think he can guard Begley, really. It's going to be fascinating. But you're right, Donnie. That's the point. Azubuike has been hamstrung by fouls over the last 2 games. He cut his minutes down. He'd only played 22 against Seton Hall because of foul trouble. Fouled out last night. He has to stay in the game. Can you get another player to step up without him? It's not Mitch Lightfoot. It's got to be D'Souza,
No.
the kid out of Angola. Can he do it? He's got. I mean, he's talented. He's a star recruit. This is where Billy Preston. Where the hell's Billy Preston? Billy Preston's in fucking Bosnia somewhere playing basketball because he drove a car around campus. Bullshit. Bullshit, NCAA. It's fucking bullshit. I have a real problem with this. I'm sick of it. I have a real problem with this. Where is Billy fucking Preston? Where is he at, Donnie? Can you tell me? Where the hell's
The
Billy Preston?
NCAA did something stupid, big man. You don't say. You do not
Where's
say.
he in Azerbaijan? Is it somewhere in Azerbaijan?
He played in Bosnia for 3 games, didn't work, so he'd come back home. Now his eligibility's fucked and his career's ruined because the fucking shithead NCAA. That's why. Also, as far as we have a comment here, Begley's a great athlete, but he doesn't have great skills. He's a bad shooter. Begley doesn't have great skills. Are you drunk? I mean, seriously, when you come on these chats, do you drink a fucking a fifth of vodka before you come on here? First, you said Beeline wasn't a good coach. Now Begley doesn't have great skills. I gotta ask
Jeff,
you, are you
if
drunk?
you shoot, I mean, 65% from 2-point range is awful in this day and
Yeah,
age.
not good. Not good. I don't know how anyone even cares about this guy. He is so poor. 65%. What a joke. That's D. That's a D in school. 65%. That's like when cappers say 54%. That's not good. What are you talking about? I don't get it. I don't get it. Let's uh let's move on here. We'll finish it up with best bets. I'm gonna go best bet, and I'm gonna go Loyola, Illinois on the money line today against Kansas State. The Sister Jean Magic. I'm gonna get myself a bobblehead. So if anyone wants a bobblehead, let me know. I'll grab you
Hmm.
one. Let's go with the Ramblers. They move on to the Final Four in shocking fashion, beating Kansas State 64-61. Give me Loyola, Illinois on the money line. Ian Cameron, what do you like for best bet?
Well, we got a slim card, so unfortunately, sometimes you're going to have the same best bet as other people. So, but it's best bet to me. Loyola Chicago. I'm there with Big Man today. Let's ride them again. The Ramblers. I got them at +1. I think it's pick 'em now. It's still good. Just win the game is all I'm asking for, and I think they do that. They're the king of winning these close games. This is going to be close. They're not going to roll Kansas State. Kansas State's playing good basketball. It'll be close. But who's been winning these close games and finding ways to make plays at both ends of the court in these close games? Loyola Chicago. I think they do it one more time.
Donnie, what do
Pretty
you
good.
like?
Yeah, John, we'll all keep it today. Like I know you guys like that early game. That's what's funny, Jeff. The first game, Loyola versus Kansas State. Can't wait for that one. And then a nice finish up on Sunday at 5 o'clock, that Duke Kansas game. So nice bookend games. But I'm going to go to the second game tonight, Jeff. Florida State versus Michigan. I know it's a public play. 71% of tickets lining up on Michigan right now. Looks like the line is 4 primarily across the board. I'm going to go with Michigan. Just think they're the better team at this time, better coach. I think they'll be able to knock down shots and win this ball game. Because again, it's not to say, Jeff, where it's a play on saying Florida State, I don't think can win this ball game. I just think Florida State will have more lapses than Michigan will today. Tough, hard-fought battle, but I think Michigan's going to pull it out, get the win and cover. I'll take the Michigan Wolverines tonight in the Staples Center.
I like it here. We're
Okay.
still got a couple minutes here. Before we go, guys, have to ask, as far as the NIT. I mean, does anyone have, I think West Kentucky's going to win this. I think they're going to win. What do you guys think? Anyone have a breakdown on that?
It'll be a good game. It'll be a good tournament. I'm looking forward to these 2 semifinals here coming up in the at MSG, Madison Square Garden, a building that you two I know are very familiar with. You were just there a few weeks ago. Western Kentucky, I mean, give them credit. Oklahoma State, that gym was fired up. I mean, the Cowboys had a great home turnout for that game the other night, and Western Kentucky pretty much leads wire to wire. They're getting great play from everybody on that team. Rick Stansberry, they're happy to be. You're worried that maybe they're just happy to be here. That would be my one issue, but I'm not so sure. I think they came here to win this thing, Western Kentucky. I know Utah was good to me with a nice winner against St. Mary's the other night, but Western Kentucky's not a team I'm in any rush to bet against right now. I think they're probably the team I'd have to go with winning this thing. Mississippi State, Penn State, that's probably a game where I just take the points. I mean, I don't think there's much difference, Mississippi State, Penn State. I'd probably lean to the dog there in that game. Western Kentucky, I'd probably have to lean to them. So Hilltoppers, to me, I think they're the team playing the best ball right now of those 4 and can win that NIT tournament.
I think it's a good one. I think it's a great matchup. All 4 of those teams I think can win. But Jeff, I'm going to lean on this team, the Penn State Nittany Lions, the Road Warriors right now. And let's not forget, folks, they're heading to Madison Square Garden. What do the other teams have in common? Western Kentucky, Utah, and Mississippi State. They haven't played there. Just a few weeks earlier, everybody bitched and moaned that the Big Ten was heading to MSG. Probably going to stay at the same hotel, know the way in, know the lay of the land there. I think that's a little bit of an advantage. I'll take Penn State to take down the Nets in the NIT in New York City.
Little Tony Carr action. I like it.
Tony Carr.
Tony Carr's
40
a good
grand.
player,
Tony Carr, 40 grand, baby.
Makes me absolutely sick that Tony Carr's at Penn State, not at Temple. All these
40K,
guys,
Jeff. You could have helped.
Lamar Stevens,
You and the
Tony
boys,
Carr.
you and the boys could have put it together, Jeff, and got that 40 grand together to keep them down on North Broad.
Oh, dude, I could have fucking grabbed a loan and did that. I could have paid it off in a couple months. What the fuck, man? Roman Catholic, Nazir Bostic, Stevens, they're all killing it. They go to Penn State instead of Temple. What a joke. Please, I'm begging you, Temple, get rid of Fran Dunphy. This could have been us. We could be in the fight. And again, they beat us to get there. By the way, I had an 8-point lead with 3 minutes to go, and you fucks couldn't win the game. What a joke. But I won't get into that. Let's finish her up, guys. Thanks for participating today, Ian Cameron. Actually, I'm sorry, Ian Cameron, and
Yeah,
Donnie
get that
Rightside.
right, Jeff. Get it right.
Yeah.
Legal name
Also,
change.
before we go, Brendan Brown. How about Central Michigan versus Liberty? Donnie, I know you're high on this game. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go contrarian in this one, Jeff. Everybody's riding Central Michigan, putting up 85, 90 points. Liberty's going to slow this game down. 2 key contributors back for Liberty today. Give me the Flames at home today, Jeff. Let's go.
What about you, Ian?
Central Michigan and Liberty, 2 teams where I don't think there's a whole ton of difference. And what do I usually do? Defer to in that case? I defer to taking the points.
Take the points and price.
CMU,
Yes.
but I won't be anywhere involved near betting that game.
Guys, we're almost towards the end of college hoops. Next week, we'll be finishing it up. Well, actually, yeah, we'll be finishing up the Final Four, and then we got the national championship, and then it's all over, guys. What are we gonna do in 2 weeks? It's only baseball. That's all we're gonna have: NBA and baseball and NHL. A little
NHL and
hockey as
NBA
well.
playoffs. I'm actually looking forward to the NBA playoffs for the first time in a while. They actually should be better than they normally are. And of course, NHL playoffs. I'm always ready and
Sixers.
excited for that.
By the way, National Cheesesteak Day today for anyone interested.
Oh,
Go out and get one,
fantastic.
please.
Support the cause. Absolutely.
Yeah, go out and get a Philly cheesesteak. That's what they always say.
Jeff, go
My
out and get a
favorite meat,
Philly
John's.
steak and
Yep,
cheese before you get out of here.
Oh, I hate when people say that. Steak and cheese. I hate
steak
that.
and cheese.
All right,
Cheesesteak.
guys. Everyone have a great day. Thanks to Ian Cameron and Donnie Wrightson for joining me. Thanks to all the listeners. We appreciate your candid opinions today. Thanks to who do we got? Larry producing the show. Thanks, Larry, for helping us out today. We will be back on Monday with another edition right side of campus. Ian Cameron will be back next week as well. The Ice Guys. All of you have a great day. Enjoy the Elite Eight. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck.